So how did you get into clinical pharmacology?
So I think it was probably by accident, to be honest. So when I was a junior doctor, my most interest was in critical illness and acute medicine. I think I enjoyed the cut and thrust of the excitement, really, to be honest. And then progressively I became more interested in research. I talked to people in my hospital about who were doing different interesting projects. And by that way I ended up speaking to the clinical pharmacologists. And the more I worked with them, the more I thought, you know what, I love all the variation of what they do in their jobs. And I could really see myself doing that. And really, the more I've done, the more I've enjoyed it.
Great. And what clinical projects are you working on at the moment?
So I work in drug discovery at GlaxoSmithKline, a big pharmaceutical company in the UK. And my role is looking at the clinical side of things from target identification through to phase 2 studies, which is usually the first studies in patients. And I look at mainly cardiovascular and renal disease. So I've got activities spanning the whole range of that, but I'm afraid I can't tell you what they are.
And what excites you about clinical pharmacology?
So for me, it's the opportunity to actually have a really large difference on patient outcomes. As a clinician, you have that one patient in front of you and you can make a big difference to that one individual. But actually doing what I do and working in drug development, there's the potential to have an impact on hundreds, thousands, or even more, millions if you come up with a real blockbuster drug. So it's just that scale of what you can potentially influence really excites me.
And do you think there's an area of clinical pharmacology that clinical pharmacologists as a group should be really thinking about and focusing on now or in the future?
I think there's always lots of new evolving opportunities. We heard earlier in this conference from Professor Pir Mohammed about the opportunities in pharmacogenetics, pharmacogenomics, and I think that's certainly something that clinical pharmacologists could be leading. Increasingly there's a lot of work looking at polypharmacy, multimorbidity. Again, that's something I think that whilst the input of pharmacists and GPs and general physicians is hugely valuable in that area, actually the extra knowledge and training we have as clinical pharmacologists I think can make a difference. So really as a clinical pharmacologist I think we can almost pick any area of medicines management and have a real positive impact on it.
And what would you say to someone who's thinking about becoming a clinical pharmacologist?
I think it's a great career. I think it's, for me, it's the most interesting bit of medicine because you can pick any bit really and follow what you're interested in. Obviously have a look at the BPS website, talk to myself and other clinical pharmacologists, but really just do something, get involved in a project that is related to clinical pharmacology and see if it fits.
And how would you describe your work to people who aren't familiar with clinical pharmacology?
So I would say that I work in drug discovery. It sounds like I'm there in the lab doing chemistry, but that's far from the truth. As a clinician, I'm involved in strategy, so picking what diseases we want to look at, through to designing the clinical trials, making sure they're conducted, with the appropriate ethical and regulatory guidance, and then looking at how we can take those early results and then take them forward into bigger studies and hopefully get medicines approved down the line.